It wasn't even a bad day. He said he was working late. My name is Harper. I'm 28. I've been with Daniel for 5 years. We live together, share bills, feed a cat named Jonah. We're that couple everyone thinks has it all figured out. Until I found that receipt. And suddenly, every working late sounded like a lie. Every time he turned his phone over at dinner, felt like a performance. I didn't want to believe it, so I didn't confront him. I waited, watched, smiled, and followed him the next time he worked late. What I found wasn't a woman, wasn't perfume, wasn't a second phone or a secret affair. It was something worse, more complicated, more human. This is a story about the secrets we keep, not to hurt the people we love, but to protect them. This is, I thought he was cheating, until I found out the truth was worse. I didn't say anything the first night I found the receipt. I watched him sleep, wondered if I'd missed the signs. If 5 years could really be built on lies, I never noticed. The next week, he worked late again. So I checked his phone. Nothing. His texts were ordinary. No baby, no hearts, no calls he deleted. But the anxiety didn't fade. It just got sharper. I started watching him the way you watch a stranger, hoping to see something that proves you right or wrong. The next Thursday, he said he had an urgent meeting. He put on cologne, left early, forgot his umbrella. So I followed him. It felt ridiculous. I felt ridiculous. But I couldn't stop myself. I trailed 2 blocks behind. He checked his phone at every light, kept glancing in the rear view like he knew he was being watched. He pulled into the hotel parking lot at exactly 2:06 a.m. I waited until he got out, then slipped inside behind him. Quiet, invisible, hands shaking. He took the elevator to the 3rd floor. Room 312. Knocked once. The door opened from inside. I braced myself for the worst. For some stranger in lingerie. For the sound of laughter that wasn't mine. But when I peeked inside, I saw Daniel kneel by a small bed. A little boy was sleeping, curled up, clutching a stuffed bear. Daniel kissed his forehead, tucked him in, sat there for a while, his head bowed. I felt my breath catch. My hands went cold. My mind tried to piece together a new puzzle, one I never expected to solve. He came out 20 minutes later, saw me in the hall, stopped dead. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Finally, I whispered, "Who is he?" Daniel looked like he'd been punched in the gut. We sat on the floor outside the room. He told me everything. 5 years ago, before we met, he had a brief relationship, one that ended badly but left him with a son. The mother had one condition. Their child could never know about Daniel's new life or anyone in it, especially not me. So Daniel lied. Every month, he checked into that hotel so he could spend the night with his son. Just the 2 of them. No questions, no new faces. "I wanted to tell you," he said. "I just couldn't risk losing him. Or you." And in that hallway, I realized what real betrayal feels like. It's not when someone loves another person. It's when the person you love has to split their life just to keep you in it. Reddit. What do you do when the person you trust most lies to you? Not because they don't love you, but because they love someone else too much to let go. When someone lies to you, your first instinct is anger, betrayal, mistrust. But what if the lie wasn't meant to deceive you, but to protect something they can't afford to lose? Daniel didn't cheat. He didn't fall out of love. He didn't sneak around for passion or thrill. He did it for something much quieter, much heavier. His son. A life he wasn't allowed to share with anyone else. And that's the kind of betrayal that hurts in a very different way. It's not about another woman. It's about another world, one you were never allowed into. He loved Harper, yes, but he also loved a little boy who called him Daddy, and didn't even know Harper existed. We don't talk enough about this kind of split love, where someone is torn between the life they're building and the life they're still tethered to. Because some people don't lie to escape. They lie to hold on to everything. But here's the hardest part. When you love someone, you expect to be part of their whole truth, not just the version they're allowed to give you. You want to be their home, not their secret. And when you find out that you're living in half a story, even if the other half isn't your fault, it still breaks something. So now I ask you, is a lie still a betrayal? If it's told out of love? Can you forgive someone for keeping a part of their heart hidden just because they didn't want to lose what they couldn't explain? And when someone protects you from the truth, are they saving your heart? Or just delaying the moment it shatters anyway? Because love is about trust. But trust isn't just about loyalty. It's about honesty. And sometimes, the lies that don't cheat on your body still hurt your soul the most. When Harper's story hit Reddit, people didn't just react with shock. They responded with echoes of their own truths. Truths that had been hidden behind closed doors, court rulings, and quiet heartbreaks. Comment number 1. U/parallel hearts plus 42.3 thousand upvotes. My partner had a daughter I never met. Not because he didn't want me to, but because his ex threatened to revoke custody if he brought me around. He told me a year after she moved away. I cried for the version of him I never got to know. Sometimes, you don't lose a person. You just never get access to their whole life. Comment number 2. U/shared but hidden plus 39.1K upvotes. I found out he was taking care of his mother with early Alzheimer's. He'd been hiding it for 2 years because he didn't want me to feel trapped in his pain. I felt betrayed. Then I felt guilty for feeling betrayed. Secrets wrapped in love can still leave you bleeding when they finally open. Comment number 3. U/no. This fault, not mine. Plus 35.7 thousand upvotes. He never told me he had a son. I only found out when the kid showed up at his funeral, with eyes just like his. I didn't know whether to cry for him, or for the 10 years I spent not knowing. The heartbreak of being left behind is one thing. The heartbreak of never being allowed in, that stays longer. Comment number 4. U/protect and conceal, plus 32.9 thousand upvotes. He said he lied to protect me, but what he really protected was my illusion. And when that cracked, so did everything I thought we had. There's a difference between privacy and omission, and it hurts most when you realize you never had all the pieces. Comment number 5. U/choosing both and losing both plus 30.4 thousand upvotes. He tried to hold on to 2 lives, me and the life he left behind. In the end, he lost us both. Because sometimes you can't protect everyone, and the act of trying can destroy the very thing you meant to save. So now I ask you, have you ever found out a secret that wasn't meant to hurt you, but still did? Have you ever been kept in the dark? Not because they didn't love you, but because they were too afraid to love you honestly? And when the truth came out, did it feel like clarity? Or the end of something that was never fully real to begin with? He was perfect until my sister recognized him. This is the kind of love story you want to believe in. The kind where you meet someone who listens more than he talks, who texts you just to ask if you've eaten, who remembers your coffee order after one date and never forgets it. His name is Jason. He's 32. He's the man who holds the door, feeds my dog while I nap, and kisses my forehead like it's a promise. I used to tell my friends, he's the kind of man that makes you believe your past heartbreaks were just detours. He never raised his voice, never forgot to say goodnight, never made me question how he felt. So when I finally brought him home to meet my family, I thought it was the beginning of forever. We were laughing over dinner, passing around plates, telling childhood stories, until my sister walked in, and everything froze. Her face went pale. Her hands trembled. Her voice, shaky, asked me one thing. "What's his name?" I said, "Jason." "Why?" And she looked at me like I'd just brought a ghost into our home. "That's the guy who ghosted me after I told him I was pregnant. This isn't just a love story. This is a story about choices, about blood and truth. And the moment you realize, maybe the man you love was the boy who broke someone you've loved your whole life. He's perfect, until I found out who his ex really was. Jason and I met at a bookstore. I dropped a copy of The Little Prince. He picked it up, said, "I always wanted to be someone's fox." I smiled. He bought the book for me. From there, it was slow, easy, real. Coffee dates turned into weekend trips. Texting turned into sharing playlists. Silence turned into safety. He never made me feel rushed. He always asked before touching me. He made me feel like I mattered, every single day. So when our 1-year anniversary came and he planned a weekend cabin trip, with homemade breakfast and a scrapbook of our memories, I started picturing forever. I called my mom the next week and said, "I think this is it." We set the family dinner for Sunday. That night was warm. We were all at the table. Mom, Dad, my sister Ellie, Jason, and me. Laughter filled the room. Stories. Even my dad liked him, and he doesn't like anyone. Then Ellie came in. She'd been running late from a shift at the hospital. She walked in, set her purse down, looked up, and froze. I thought maybe she was tired. But she didn't move, didn't sit, just stared. At Jason, he froze too. His smile dropped. His fork hit the table. Ellie's voice was quiet, but sharp. "What's his name?" I said, "Jason." Her lips trembled. "Jason Hale?" I turned to him. He looked like a man caught in a time machine. Then Ellie said, "He ghosted me after I told him I was pregnant. That was 6 years ago." The table went dead silent. My mother gasped. My dad stood up, confused. And I couldn't breathe. I looked at Jason, waiting for denial. Anything. But all he did was whisper, "Ellie?" She laughed. Not the funny kind, the broken kind. They had dated briefly, a summer fling while she was between internships. She'd found out she was pregnant, told him. He panicked and disappeared. She lost the baby a few weeks later. She never told my parents, only her closest friend. She buried it, moved on, until the past walked into her mother's kitchen, holding my hand. Jason didn't know I was her sister. I didn't know she was the girl he left behind. Now we both knew. And suddenly, love felt like a house built on top of someone else's heartbreak. Reddit. What do you do when the person who made you feel safest is the reason your sister never felt safe again? There are heartbreaks that come from betrayal. And then there are the ones that come from history. A history you didn't even know you were walking into. Jason didn't lie to hurt her. He didn't even know. But that doesn't make the pain go away. Because the man Lila loves was once the boy who abandoned her sister. And that truth doesn't just crack a relationship. It splits a family down the middle. This isn't a simple question of right or wrong. It's about how far love can stretch before it becomes selfish. Jason's love for Lila was real, but so was Ellie's trauma, her silence, her loss. And now, Lila is forced to ask, can I continue loving the man who disappeared on my sister when she needed someone the most? There's no villain in this story, no affair, no manipulation, just three people stuck in a moment none of them saw coming. But here's the deeper ache. When you love someone, you want your family to love them too. You imagine holidays, laughter, a future shared. But what happens when love collides with someone else's pain? When the very presence of your happiness is a reminder of someone else's deepest wound? So now I ask you, if the person you love once walked away from the person you died to protect, can you ever look at them the same again? If love asks you to choose between the present you want and the past you didn't know you were betraying, what do you do? Because sometimes the worst part of a secret isn't when it's told too late. It's when it's told at exactly the wrong time. And suddenly, the safest arms you know feel like they're holding someone else's history. When Lila's story was posted, Reddit didn't explode with drama. It filled with quiet stories from people who know exactly what it feels like to be caught between the love you chose and the people you never thought you'd hurt. Comment number 1. You/family first, please, plus 41.8 thousand upvotes. My ex-fiancé cheated on my sister back in college. We didn't know until we were already engaged. When the truth came out, I couldn't look at him the same. Not because I stopped loving him, but because every smile felt like it had cost my sister hers. Sometimes love doesn't break. It just bends until it stops feeling whole. Comment number 2. You/when circles overlap, plus 38.2 thousand upvotes. My cousin dated the guy I'm with now, 5 years before me. He was different back then, toxic, manipulative. She still gets anxious when she sees him. He's better now, but I'm not sure she believes me, and I don't blame her. Redemption doesn't erase history. It just makes it harder to talk about. Comment number 3. I walked away, quietly, plus 35.6 thousand upvotes. My sister married the guy who dumped me without a word in high school. She didn't know. I never told her. I watched them build a life. I stood at the wedding. I smiled. But I've never been able to fully sit at their table. There are some truths we carry quietly, not because they're forgiven, but because saying them out loud would cost too much. Comment number 4. I was the sister, plus 31.3 thousand upvotes. This story is too close. I was the sister. He left me when I was 20. I miscarried alone. 10 years later, my best friend introduced him as her soulmate. She didn't know, and I didn't ruin it. But I never really healed either. Some wounds stay quiet out of love, not because they're healed, but because we don't want anyone else to feel our pain. Comment number 5. You/love needs boundaries, plus 29.7 thousand upvotes. Love is important. But sometimes, the people who were there before your love, your family, your history, your loyalty, need to come first. Even when it hurts. Even when it breaks you, too. Because real heartbreak isn't choosing between two people. It's knowing that no matter who you choose, you're going to lose a piece of yourself in the process. So now I ask you, have you ever had to choose between the love you built and the loyalty you owe? Have you ever discovered that the person who made you feel whole was the reason someone you love fell apart? And when you looked at them after the truth came out, did you still see the same person? Or someone with a history your heart could never unhear. I pretended to break up with him, just to see if he'd fight for me. Sometimes we test the people we love, just to be sure they love us back. We say things we don't mean. We create distance to see if they'll close it. We start fights we don't want to win, just to see who will stay. And sometimes we pretend to walk away, hoping they'll come running after us. My name is Emma. I'm 25, and I loved my boyfriend more than I knew how to say. He was calm, quiet, always steady, never dramatic. But deep down, I wanted passion, a reaction, some grand movie scene kind of proof that he couldn't lose me. So one night, I tested him. I told him I didn't think we were working, that maybe we should break up. I didn't mean it, not even a little. I just wanted him to stop me, to fight, to say no, don't go. But instead, he nodded and said, "Okay, if that's what you want." And then he left. No tears, no calls, no chasing. 6 months later, I still haven't heard from him. This isn't a story about heartbreak. It's a story about what happens when you ask someone to prove their love, and they do, by respecting your decision to leave. This is, I pretended to break up with him just to see if he'd fight for me. It wasn't a fight. Nothing was broken. We weren't distant. We just felt quiet lately. He'd come home from work, ask about my day. I'd say, fine. We'd eat dinner, watch a show, go to sleep. No yelling, no cheating, no lies. But still, I started wondering, does he really love me? Or are we just convenient now? So I did something I'd never done before. I decided to test him. I told myself, if I pull away just a little, he'll notice. If I say I need space, he'll panic. If I say we should break up, he'll fight. I didn't say it cruelly. I didn't scream or cry. I just said, I think maybe we're not working anymore. He paused, looked at me, and said, okay, if that's how you feel, I won't stop you. And that was it. He walked away, quiet, polite, gone. That night, I stared at the ceiling, waiting for the text, the knock, the call, anything. Nothing came. The next day, I told myself, he's just giving me time. He'll call tomorrow. He didn't. A week passed. I checked my phone 200 times a day. Every vibration made my heart jump, then sink. A month passed. No Instagram stories, no mutual friend updates. It was like he vanished, but only from my world. I reached for the phone so many times. Typed, hey, erased it. Typed, I miss you. Deleted it. I kept thinking, he should be the one reaching out. He should be the one fighting for us. But he never did. 6 months have passed. He's still gone. And now I'm left with a truth I didn't want to learn. Some people love you deeply, but they also listen when you say, let me go. And the most respectful thing they can do is walk away. Reddit. What do you do when you ask someone to prove their love? And they do. By letting you leave without looking back? We always say we want honesty. But the truth is, we want reassurance. We want to feel chosen. We want to test the water without ever really drowning. But love doesn't always come with drama. Sometimes love is quiet, and letting go isn't a sign they stopped caring. It's proof that they listened. Emma didn't break up with him because she stopped loving him. She wanted proof, validation. A moment where he'd say, no, don't go. You're everything. But instead, he heard her words, and he believed her. Not because he didn't care, but because he did. Because when someone you love says, I want to leave, real love doesn't always fight. Sometimes it respects, even if it breaks them. We often mistake quietness for indifference. We think, if they don't chase me, they don't love me enough. But maybe chasing isn't always love. Maybe staying still when someone walks away is the loudest kind of heartbreak. So now I ask you, have you ever tried to test someone's love and lost them in the process? Have you ever said goodbye just to see if they'd say stay, and they said nothing at all? Was that cruelty? Or was that maturity? Or maybe, was that exactly what love looks like when it's not about ego, but about letting someone go because they asked you to? Because sometimes it's not the ones who fight that love the most. It's the ones who listen. And when you say, I want to leave, they say, okay, I love you enough not to make this harder. And somehow, that still hurts more than anything else. When Emma's story was posted, Reddit didn't laugh. It didn't mock her. It mourned with her, because almost everyone who commented had a story of their own, of love they pushed too far, a heart they tried to test, and the silence they never expected, but still got. Comment number 1. You tested and lost. Plus 41.2 thousand upvotes. I told her I wanted to take a break, just to see if she'd beg me to stay. She didn't. She packed her things that night, left the key on the table, and said, I won't fight to stay where I'm not wanted. It's been 3 years. She never came back. Some people love you deeply, but they love themselves enough to not chase when you say, go. Comment number 2. You/ghosting Munehart, plus 37.6 thousand upvotes. I tested his love because I was scared of being abandoned. I thought if he chased me, it meant he'd never leave. But I was the one who walked away first, and all he did was let me go. Turns out, I created the heartbreak I feared most. Fear makes us do strange things, but the saddest part is when we become the very storm we're running from. Comment number 3, you/quiet respect hurts, plus 34.8 thousand upvotes. He didn't beg. He said, okay, I'll respect that. It was the kindest, most painful thing anyone's ever done to me. Sometimes silence isn't cold. It's sacred, and it echoes louder than any plea. Comment number 4, you/if only I should stay, plus 33.1 thousand upvotes. She walked away after I pretended not to care. I thought she'd see through it. She didn't. She saw a man who didn't fight for her. And she left with her dignity intact. I stayed with my pride, and a heartbreak I still can't explain. If you say, I don't need you, enough times, eventually, they believe you. Comment number 5, you/lesson learned quietly, plus 31.9 thousand upvotes. You don't test people who love you. You talk to them, you ask, you express, because love isn't a pop quiz. It's not pass or fail. It's staying when it's hard, not guessing when it's real. Because love should be spoken, not set as a trap. And sometimes you lose not because they failed, but because they believed you. So now I ask you, have you ever tried to test someone's love, only to realize they were already proving it every day? Quietly? Patiently? Without the need for drama? Have you ever lost someone not because they stopped loving you, but because you didn't believe they already did? And when they finally left, did you realize that maybe the only one who didn't pass the test was you? I walked in on my boss's wife, cheating, with a coworker,